Hello everyone. What I have here today on the bottom of the screen is a rendition of the Last Supper painting done by Leonardo da Vinci. And it's nothing like you've ever seen before because these are the underlying pictures that are being represented in that painting. These are renditions of the ancient Hebrew, or I should say Semitic pictographs, because they certainly were not singularly Hebrew, even though they were used and adopted to create the Hebrew language amongst other languages. Anyhow, as you see here, this middle representation, this is the He, or the Ha, however you wish to pronounce it. And it means many things. It means spirit, it means spirit dance, and it means reveal. I'll be using reveal in this translation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each pictograph in a larger format, and then I'm going to show you the other corresponding pictographs that are in the painting, which are representative of each of the apostles. Now, as the scriptures go, that people are supposed to be accepting Jesus into their heart, and Jesus and the Holy Spirit is supposed to be part of them and become part of them. That is what this video is about. I'm going to demonstrate to you how that relates with the ancient pictographs. The pictograph, which would be the He, this one right here, which would have been the representative of, well, whether you want to call him Yeshua HaMashiach or Jesus Christ. This is the place setting that he was sitting at the table. And it's very appropriate when I had discovered this format that it had a lot of bearing. It is, and I can't say that Leonardo knew that he was painting that. Now, it took him a long time to paint the Last Supper painting, and he was amongst the religious leaders for sure while he was doing the painting. So the religious leaders could have been influencing him the whole time. So that could be why these pictographs ended up being involved in the Last Supper painting. It also could be that Leonardo da Vinci, being the very intelligent man that he was, and he was a man involved in many things, including inventions, and as we know, very deep into art, as he was the artist that did the Last Supper painting, that he may very well have studied in depth the ancient pictographs and decided on his own to use those representations to make the Last Supper painting. Whatever the case may be, this video is about putting those pictures together. Like I said, this picture would be the representative of the Holy Spirit, which equals the word reveal. As we know, the Holy Spirit reveals. And so we're going to combine these Holy Spirit pictographs with the pictographs that were representative of each of the apostles of Yeshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ, which these were his followers. And people believed that they were so inspired by him and that they all had the Holy Spirit in them that it is appropriate to combine these pictures. So we'll start with this. And I'm not going to name the apostles. I'm just going to name the pictographs. This is the He. This is the La. The La is a shepherd's staff. And it means things such as lead, and it means tongue. So when we combine those two pictographs together, we have this, which would mean reveal, tongue. Moving on to this next pictograph, this is the Sa, but it wasn't always named the Sa. This actually is known as Sin, S-I-N. Now, further into the history of the Hebrews, they combined the sin symbol, which is this one, with what is known as the Shin symbol, and they even kind of confused it even more. But what this pictograph is a fence post. And it means turn, and it means support. And what I personally believe and why it is named what it is named is because of the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain took his brother out into the field and he murdered him. There was never any mention of what the weapon was that he murdered him. But we do know that people call what he did a sin. And this pictograph, sin, would be very appropriate to say that he must have beat his brother to death with a fence post. He beat him with sin. Anyhow, carrying on. Next pictograph. Reveal sin. Now that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Does that have a familiar sight to it to you? It ought to. Next one. This is the wa. And the wa has different meanings also. One of them meaning connect. So it can mean connect, it can mean join, it can mean the word and. But this is the picture representation, and people believe it was a tent peg. And a tent peg would have been made out of a stick. And as you see, the stick goes into the ground and the branches are left on it in order to hold on to the tie down for a tent. Now this would be the combination of the hay and the wa, the hay-wa, which would be reveal, connect. There are other meanings here too. Let me look for a moment. Excuse me. Reveal and connect. What else we got here for wa? Oh, there are other meanings here. Some people say it's a nail because they like to use that reference, and they say they talk about Yahweh meaning behold, nail, or behold, God behold, nail behold, or something of that nature that they use. But it means and, which is addition. It means secure. It means hook. But those are some of the meanings. See, that's the thing with Hebrew. Now, Hebrew meanings, they're not just singular meanings, and that's why things can get so very confusing with Hebrew, and why people say that scriptures can mean whatever it is that people want them to mean. Well, we know people that certainly use scriptures to con people, and they can make them mean pretty much most anything that they want. But the language as it changed from Hebrew to Greek to English becomes more and more specific and specified. The Hebrew language really is not that specific. The Hebrew language can expand and it can contract. Very much so. So the language really is not as precise. So I just wanted to add that in. So this is Connect Spirit. This here we have what's called a da. The da is a door or an entrance. I'm having a hard time separating these pages. And there's the hey da, which is reveal the door. This is the ku. And the ku is a reflection. That would represent the sun. This would represent the horizon. And this is the representation of a reflection of the sun in the water. And this is reveal, reflection. Well, I'm trying not to attach too much meaning to these things because, like I said, the Hebrew language expands and it contracts, and there may be things that you're seeing in this that I'm not. And your feedback would be well appreciated in the comment section below. This here is the cha. And the cha means separate or divide. It's a tent wall is what that's supposed to represent, is wood used to create a tent wall, or sticks used to create a solid part of a tent wall. So this is reveal, divide. Or you could say spirit divide. This here is the ba. And the ba is a tent footprint. Shows the outline, the shape of how a tent was. And this is the way the Hebrews set up their tents. This is the walls. And this here is the entrance. And typically the men would sleep in this area and the women would sleep in the back area. And this was supposed to be a security type thing, that the men were there at the front of the entrance in case anybody was to enter the tent to protect the women. So the stories go. Oh, I'm sorry. Some of the words that this means, such as household or into. And into is the representation of the entrance area. Into. So this would be reveal into or spirit into. The next one here is the te. Now it could be ta, it could be te. I think this one is more accurately te, because there's another one that's ta. But we'll call it te for now. Te is a basket. That's a representation of a basket, and that would be the weaving pattern that is used to create these types of baskets. As you may have noticed, this flower of life pattern that I'm drawing everything on is the pattern that I believe they use to create their baskets. It's a very effective and efficient and strong weaving pattern. But this basket would represent vessel. And as we see here, combining the two, the hay and the te, the hay-te, which is actually kind of interesting now that I say hay-te, because that's the name of the province in Turkey where a lot of interesting things are. For example, in the province of Hatay, in the country of Turkey, is a mountain named Accra. And Mount Accra is the original Mount Zion. It's the most sacred mountain of that area for many religions, including the Hebrews, because it was the original Mount Zion. And it was a place of sacrifice, of burnt offering to the gods. Now I say gods, and people say, wow, the Hebrews only had one God, and they get all argumentative, blah, 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 blah. But if they really read the scriptures using the Hebrew language, they would know that the Hebrews and the Israelites did not worship only a single God. They worship many gods, a pantheon of gods. Anyhow, what I'm trying to convey to you is Hatay is the mountain where all this stuff originally took place. It's the mountain that the Israelites mimicked and reflected in Jerusalem, and that place was known as Tel Megiddo, because they could never forcefully take over the land, which is now Hatay. They were never able to do that. If they were able to, they certainly would have set up their tabernacle there. But they didn't, because they couldn't, and now they want to. That Mount Accra is the place known as Armageddon that's written about in the scriptures. Anyhow, I'll continue on. This video is supposed to be about these pictures, but I always end up going off course, or the course I want to go anyhow. Okay, this one right here, this is an interesting one. This is the ta. The other one was the te. This is the ta. The ta is supposed to represent crossed sticks, and this is representation of a covenant. When a person makes a covenant with somebody else. And actually, a person that knew anything about the covenants that they made, one of the things they would do is take a bowl and they would cut it in half. That was part of making a covenant. Part of the covenant was if one of the parties broke the covenant, that the other person had the right to do what they did to the bowl, to do it to the person that broke their covenant. So that's what this means. It means covenant, but it also means complete. This is the drawing that completes the covenant. So it means complete. And here we go with the hata. And the hata would be spirit complete, or reveal complete. This here is the za. And the za is a godmatic. And even though the picture is that direction, because it's on this template form, this is the way the godmatic would be. And it would be a handle that a person could use to chop the ground, and they would pull it down, and they wouldn't have to bend over like a regular garden hoe. They could stand up straight so it wasn't as strenuous on their back, and they would cut or chop the soil. So this has a meaning of to cut or cut. So this would mean reveal cut or spirit cut. Or to cut off was also another meaning. But there are probably meanings you have found and already thought of by looking at these pictures that I have not yet thought of. And I would appreciate your comments below. This here is it could be called A or ale or aleph, but it was ale, and it was representative of the bull god Ale, which was the main god figure in the Semitic region. And it is appropriately used to mean first, to mean leader, or also to mean the word God. As we, as a people, have been trained what the word God means now, because originally it didn't mean anything like what it means now. So this would be Spirit God, or Reveal God. Now this one here is a palm. It's supposed to represent the open palm of a person. And it's supposed to mean blessing. I would have to gather, because it means blessing, would be that's the way that the priests used to bless people. And that's why that pictograph is used like that. So if we carry on, this is, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you the name of that. That's known as the ka. There are other names. I believe it's calf. It was evolved into the word calf. This is the ka. So this would be the haka or heka. And that would mean reveal, blessing. Now I always thought this was kind of humorous the way that came out, because if you look at that and you say, you know something, look at the ears. I mean, this kind of takes the spirit It takes the arms and the hand and goes up the sides of the head and makes what looks like ears. And I always thought, because people know these images, whether you consciously know these images or subconsciously know these images, people know all these images that I've already shown you. Now, it could be because the media propaganda that's been going on for so many years have helped to implant these images, because, well, there's a lot of images that I've discovered that have to do with this pattern that have been used with major corporations, which leads me to believe that these images are known about, even though they're not in this format that I made, in this template that I made. What I put together is unique. Nobody else I have seen has put this together. If they have, I would like to see what it is and how it is that they use this. But anyhow, if you look at this picture, that kind of leads me to think, I bet that's how the people come up with that Easter bunny story with a rabbit and the ears, and how they associate with Easter. Because I'm like, the stories that I've heard about it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if a person has this picture in their subconscious mind, and, well, that's just the way the subconscious works. It can come to the conscious forefront as something other than what it really is stored in their subconscious. And that's, well, kind of where religion is dangerous, because those people know how to use it. They call it magic, or they used to call it magic anyhow. Nowadays we call it psychology. But thank you for watching my video. Have a good day.